I think a film like this hasn't really been done before. There's been lots of films that are all based on the big battle at the end, the big showdown. There's Braveheart, there's Lord of the Rings, and they're all amazing films. But what I think we've done with this film is a very small film about a particular quest and a particular bunch of people that are at a stage in their life and a stage of change. And it's how those people learn a lot more about each other on one united quest to find a person. Hagan. I mean, if I was to describe it to another film, it's a little bit like Apocalypse Now, where he spends the whole film hunting after this legendary soldier, and when he finally confronts him, he's not the person you think he is, and he's completely mad. I mean, I'm not trying to compare the two films together, but it is the film that kind of, it's at the forefront of my mind. It just reminds me of that scene where you see Marlon Brando and you see Elliot Cowan, and they're both the same person to me. It's this legendary warrior, and doesn't actually live up to the legend. To explain my character in The Hammer of the Gods, Hagan is Steiner's oldest friend, and very much the de facto lieutenant of the group of Vikings. We're kind of like the Vikings of the apocalypse, the Four Horsemen. But Hagan's known Steiner all his life, and Steiner's father paired Steiner with myself from an early age to teach him the ways of combat, to teach him to be a seaworthy captain. So from that we've built a relationship that kind of outweighs the other two, who are more kind of hired help. But because of that, I think Hagan and Steiner, they jar very much because they have very, very different views on the Viking conquest and just life and religion in general. And I think they go into this quest very much good friends who have shared some hard times, some good times. But as the quest goes on, Hagan starts to see Steiner as a different person, and he starts to point out some of Steiner's supposed strengths as very big weaknesses for a leader of Vikings. And it all comes to a head near the end of the film where they have a showdown, and Hagan can't keep it in any longer and decides to make an example of him. And it has very interesting consequences. Charlie Bewley is a force of nature. What was great about this film is rather than being put up in hotels, we all made a decision for the lead actors to stay together in a cottage in Wales. So not only were we filming together, we were living together and we were working out together, and pretty much just living in each other's space for 3 whole weeks before we moved locations, and then we moved into hotels. But it was a good way for me and Charlie to bond, because the relationship that Hagan and Steiner have is quite a deep-rooted one, and we found the easiest way to get to know each other was just by doing crazy workouts. Charlie's a bit of a fitness fanatic, and we'd be out every hour of the day that we had off, doing push-ups, doing crazy workout routines, and there's nothing better, I think, to bond as men and a bit of testosterone and putting the world to rights while lifting up heavy weights. We did a lot of chaos training, which is just never doing the same routine again, lifting up everything from kettlebells, sandbags, using our hammers and our weapons as tools to kind of use instead of weights. And Charlie and I think, bonded quite well during that time, which enables, hopefully, you'll see on screen. Charlie's great. Charlie is he's really dedicated. He works really hard to kind of get the character across on screen, physically and emotionally. And we've had many a good conversation at 4 in the morning over a bottle of whiskey, talking through our characters. And it may seem funny, but it was actually really beneficial for the film and for Charlie and myself's relationship together on screen. Farron has a very specific way of directing where he gives you these little thought bubbles after every take where it's just between you and him, so it's almost like he's giving you a little secret, and it gives you something to play with none of the other cast and crew know about. So every time you enter into a take, you feel like you're doing something different, and he's very subtle about it. You feel like he's just this puppeteer from afar, and he really kind of drove some performances out of us. I mean, he brought some stuff out of me that I just didn't even see in the character. He's very relaxed, and I just think at such a young age and being such a proficient director. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about Farron Blackburn in the future. As an actor, I like to read the script over and over and over again, and each time I read it, I try and find more information, more chunks, and to look deeper, look closer into the character. And Farron, just as you think that you know the script like the back of your hand, Farron knows everybody's lines. He knows every scene inside out. But what's so great about it is he doesn't necessarily always want to play what's the top side of the coin. It's about the flip side of the coin, what's underneath, you know, the character's insecurities, it's his hopes and his fears. And sometimes just slowly putting a little bit of that into what seems on the surface is quite an ordinary, self-explanatory scene. Farron's very good at bringing out so much more of that scene and giving you a full, more rounded performance. Oh, if I was to choose a favourite location in Wales, Wales is phenomenal. We start off in Tenby by the sea, and that's when we had crazy weather. We had storms, we had rain, we had mist, coming up through the rock face, coming up to the mountain for the first fight of the film, where you meet the Vikings and each of our characters introduced. It was like the apocalypse. One minute we had storm, torrential rain, then the sun broke out, causing mist, and then we moved to Snowdonia, and just the drive up from Tenby to Snowdonia, it was almost like driving through New Zealand and then driving through Cape Town, and I never knew that kind of climate existed in Wales. A lot of the filming days were actually quite sunny. I think someone up there wanted us to make a sunny Viking film. I'm sure once it's been graded and stuff, it'll look dark and dingy and pale, but I never thought I'd be doing a Viking film at the top of a Welsh mountain getting sunburned. But yeah, it was just full on, physically, every morning having to climb mountains, climb rock faces, and then once you're there, there'll be some other crazy climate to kind of get your head around. The fighting in woods that are waterlogged, that it doesn't matter how well you learn a fight in a studio space with stunt guys. When you get out there and you realise that you're fighting in what is pretty much a bog, and there's rain falling off the trees, it's slippy, it's slidey, you've got medieval shoes on, which have got no grips at all. But it brings a little bit more life into the fights. It doesn't just become about, oh, this is when I move my axe and my hammer here and my sword goes there. You're slipping and sliding, and especially in the fight with the Saxon warriors with the black masks on, you don't know which stuntman's which guy. They're all coming at you at the same time, and you're really reacting in the moment. You're blocking, things are coming at your heads, and if your hammer's not there in a flash, then I got caught a few times, and then you start to see red mist for real, and you're carrying on, because this kind of film you can't cut, you can't kind of go back to your trailer and have a hissy fit. You just got to get on with it. You can't make mead without grinding some hops, to bring a Viking quote in there.